Hi book besties, welcome back to my channel. If you guys are seeing my face for the first time, hi. My name is Maya and I like to talk about books here on the internet. Well, you guys, it has actually been such a long minute since I have physically sat and filmed for you guys that it almost feels a little foreign, but not too much, thankfully. So without further ado, let's get into the wrap up for the month of March. There is no epilogue phase, so we're just gonna get into the books that I have read and what I am planning to roll over. I will make that distinction for you as it changes from one to the other, but there will be a part 2 to this video. It's not going to be an actual part 2 video. It's literally just going to be tagged on at the very end where I'm probably not wearing this shirt, and it's probably not on the day that I'm filming because it will require more research and thought and me deciding what I'm going to do in terms of what books I'm going to place to what, year-long readathons, etc., etc. I just had a limited amount of time today to be able to film because I just have a lot going on right now. So I'm going to take the limited amount of time for the amount that I know I can do within this time and not waste it for the sake of a video. And we're just going to be wrapping up the books that I have read and the books that I am going to be rolling over because I think it's just going to be easier. I think also at the top, this is more for housekeeping things. I think you guys noticed in the last video I didn't do my usual reading of the back of the summary or really summarizing the book in the sense of the essence of what it is, and that is because I am now going to make these videos where for the TBR, you guys already know I read the backs of the books for the summaries. So that's where you're going to get your summaries. That's where you're going to get my reactions to them. I think that's good enough to portray a book in the sense of what it's going to be about, and then a little bit of a genuine, authentic reaction from me just as the person about to consume said book, and then whatever I wrap it up as with my thoughts and my conclusions. I think that's enough to kind of give a good picture of it without needing a full reading vlog to go through the experience of the process or me reiterating anything. I don't know. It's just going to save me time for yapping. It'll save me time for the filming and for the editing portion. It'll save you guys time per every single video because I realize that can be a little redundant, especially when we have another video that already explains what the book is going to be. And you guys for sure know that every single book that I put on my TBR, I read the back of the book and what it is about, regardless of if I read it by the end of the month or not. So yes, that is a thing. Unless it's a book I've already read or it's a book that I'm going to dedicate a reading vlog to, because y'all did not get that for the March TBR. There was a reason. We just are hoping and praying that I can get the reading vlog because that's inevitably what it's going to end up being done for that, but we shall see. Enough yapping, let's actually get into my thoughts on all of the books that I have read for this month. I am participating, or was participating, in Realmathon. It was a month-long readathon. It is a competitive team-based readathon hosted by Cassidy over at Covers with Cassidy, and this year we had the theme of the Crucible. It was more D&D inspired, so basically all of our points were XP. So yes. Also, by the way, my Team Rose, freaking won. I have started a lot of books, but I will only count 2 as rolled over and 4 as completed. So let me show you the 4 that I completed. First off, the first 2, a manga series that I think there's a 3rd book in this collection. And so for the first book, I of course read the first in the series, The Tea Dragon Society by Katie O'Neill. And this is a reread. This is a 5-star always. I love following along our storyline of our main character, who is the daughter of a blacksmith. And I would like to also mention a female blacksmith because it's her mom. So she is learning about the art of blacksmithing because she sees that it's a dying art in their world, but then she comes across an even rarer art in their world, which is the taming and caring for of the tea dragons, and how their gifts can help society if society were to like slow down a little bit. And so she is learning both of these dying arts in this book, and it's just so lovely and beautiful. I think the stories and the themes and the topics of discussion and the overall arcing bigger picture things that were thought through of this world are so beautiful. But I love that it's also packaged in such a cozy little time that if you don't want all of this deep thinking, philosophical whatever, then you could literally just read it, and it's just so pretty, and the story is cute, the characters are cute, the relationships are cute, like it's all just so cute. And the second book of the series, which is the Tea Dragon Festival, also a 5-star. Just the storyline itself, we are following our main character, and she's really coming into her own and becoming who she is, and I think it did its job beautifully. But it's always so hard as the second book to overtake the first, especially when the first was just so good. Both of these were 5-star, both of these were rereads, both of these are must grabs for any manga lover, any cozy fantasy lover, anyone who just wants a fun, amazing, cute, and quick time of a story. Then the third book was a Stephen King novella, Rita Hayworth and Shawshank Redemption to be specific. And I think I even mentioned in my March TBR that I had started this book previously. I think maybe it was even last year, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. I started this. I got about 10 pages in, was so confused because I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't what I was expecting, and it kind of just threw me for a loop. So much so that I was just like, wait a minute. Okay, I know this is going to be good. I just need to throw away everything I was thinking about this book, about this author, about this world, and okay, we're gonna go in with a different eye. Boy, howdy, am I glad I did, because this, I think, for me, is gonna be a 4-star because of the pacing. That is the only thing that I think that overall had some interesting usages. I think you will find it is not boring. It is a quicker read than you would expect. However, it does take a little bit more thinking power. I think it is confusing as the reader if you may not know of that world that much to the point where you can understand what things are as he's saying them. He will kind of get there with you, but not always. For the environment, for the way that it is written, I kind of personally think it's written geniusly because of the fact that we are getting the narration from a reliable, honest, but very, like, doesn't know what's going on type of character. This fourth book, I'm not going to rate, I don't think, because my rating system is completely separate for this, and I would need to make it up on the spot, and I'm just not going to. There really is a difference, a comparison of Covenant and Dispensational Theology by Reynold E. Showers. This was a textbook of mine. We had to read this and summarize each and every single chapter. I don't know, when it comes to non-fictional books, or like any sort of, I'll say this, any sort of like true crime that was real, that happened involving real life, real victims, real whatever, because I had that last year in Slender Man, because I read Slender Man. My friend was like, I know you're into true crime, so you got to read this, because this, I mean, it just gives you it all. And I didn't know anything about that case. I then just like got so invested, and we don't need to talk about how invested I was, nor still kind of am, and still kind of following and just making sure that, you know, certain decisions upheld, kind of, just personal preference, opinion, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I did not read that book because I don't know, I just think morally, I think it's just understandable. And okay, listen, this is a nonfiction book about faith. Clearly, there is a direct audience in the title. I'm not telling you guys to buy or not buy. Okay, I'm just saying it was good. Okay, because when I come and do these reviews, most of the time, it's going to be fantasy, it's going to be sci-fi, it's going to be in other worlds that I am pitching to you, and I'm just like, okay, in terms of the story, the experience, the writing, you might want to be careful about where you spend your money just because of hype, literally just because of that. I don't think there's a vast amount of hype, no offense to any of these authors, I don't think there's a vast amount of overhype of people going to find religious books. I just don't think there is. I think if you're already gonna get a religious book or already not gonna get a religious book, you have already cemented that into your brain and you don't really need to convince yourself to not to. Right? I'm pretty sure we got that part. Okay? Listen, and this is coming from... This is coming from the side that is like, obviously, I'm a Christian. Like, would I love people to read this book? Absolutely. Am I going to shove it down your throat? No. Am I going to shove the Bible down your throat? No. Okay? I think the Bible is more amazing than this book, but I'm not going to shove it down your throat. That's not what this is. Okay? This, honestly, what I think about of wrap-ups, I think of it as a time where someone who has read the book, who either is similar to your taste, or just someone who is entertaining that may not always have the same taste as you, comes to you with a book, with the plot, with the summary, with their thoughts, and says, listen, if you want to spend this money, here's what you need to know about it. And then, spoiler free, of course, and then from there, right, you have more of an understanding and you can best put your hard-earned dollars that are so hard to come by in this economy to the best spot. Okay? Rant over. Let's get into the rollover books. The Habit, which is a story by J.R.R. Tolkien, obviously, though this is a manga rendition, and this is illustrated by David Wenzel and adapted by Charles Dixon. I still have yet to read it. I am so freaking close. Listen, Linda. The formatting is not it. Whoever did this, the formatting for the words, not it, sis. Not it. I'm actually very frustrated. This ain't it. Like, I want to be able to read this story. And it's so hard. Like, it's just hard. All of the choices for the actual words on the page were not it. Like, there was not a singular right choice for these words. And I'm just gonna leave that there. Okay. And then the other rollover book is The House on the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. Beautiful, wonderful, amazing. When I find worlds that I love, you bet your bottom dollar I am gonna stick in this world as much as I possibly can. The relationships are just so cute. And there's literally one kid I want to cry over, but I won't, but I want to. And that budding relationship, it's just so beautiful. I can't. And the I might have to save that thought for when I actually... I'll save that thought. I'll sit on that thought because it's a rollover book. I don't want to wax too poetic here because it's just so good. But then, okay, so as I was going around the room and getting all of the other books together, I realized there was actually a third because like I know I said there were 4 books I read, 2 books that were rollover. Well, the reason I didn't count this as a rollover, but it technically is going to be a rollover just because of the year-long readathon challenges that I am doing, I figure it's probably good to mention this one. So this month I started the beast, the Goliath as it were, of like all the books that I own, and probably of like books in general. Alchemized by Sinlin Yu. Now this is just the cover, okay? Because it's beautiful and my room's a mess, so I didn't want to like risk. If I was gonna have to risk the book and its sprayed edges, I at least am gonna keep this pristine. So that's what's happening. I am 48 pages in and I'm still trying to find the concrete world that we're kind of trapped in at the moment. Now we're described the scenes, we're described the tower that we're basically in. Well, not the tower, I guess maybe, I don't know, fortress, whatever you want to call it. This big building. I understand the building that we're in, but I'm not grounded in that reality to the point where anything else that I am getting is just not hitting as hard as I need it to for what I think is about to come next and what the author is trying to intend. Therefore, it's just taking me a while to really get into this world and to really get into this book. And so I feel like the book hasn't even started and kind of really hasn't. So, you know, it's not lying to me, but it kind of really hasn't. So I didn't think to include that. But yeah, that's a rollover book. That is all the time I have for filming in this moment. So I will just hand it over to me in the future, where we're gonna be coming in with all of the stats for the year-long readathons. Welcome to part 2 of this video. We are going to be talking about my year-long readathon challenges. I have 3 in total. So the first is the Year in Eldia challenge, which literally is kind of at a standstill until I finish Alchemized. It's a whole time and a thing with that readathon, let me tell you. Now we're going to be talking about the buzzword reading challenge for the year 2026. For the month of July, we have occupations. I read the book. There really is a difference, a comparison of covenant and dispensational theology. You know, covenant theologians and dispensationalists, that is kind of an occupation. I mean, that is technically a group, probably, and would be more specified to a group. But I also think it could be labeled as like an occupation because there are big thinkers out there, like the forward men and women who are the big thinkers of the day, who are the spokespeople for a specific group, and that is an occupation. Like I said, it's a very, very loose definition of this, but the reason that I don't want to put that in the next box, which is August, and that prompt is groups and clubs, is because I also read The Tea Dragon Society by Katie O'Neill, and so I think this is more fitting to groups and clubs, and I think, again, we could stretch the definition that this is kind of an occupation. Please say you'll give it to me. Like, I need more boxes filled. We're in the month of March. We need to have at least 3 boxes filled, am I right? And then we now have the cover challenge, and we already have February, the silhouette, and I filled in June for Wings with Dante's Inferno, and the silhouette was A Christmas Carol. For March, the prompt is action and movements. I do believe it looks like there's movement of the leaves, there's kind of movement in the hair and the clothes and the braid of the dragon. I think we got some movement there, so I think that counts. For August, so again, a loose translation, but I think this is fitting. I would like to put in for the ring Rita Hayworth and Shawshank's Redemption by Stephen King, because of said thing that could cause damage. But also, if you read the book, I think it's fitting. Last but certainly not least, for Fire and Smoke, which is our prompt for September, I'm gonna go with the Tea Dragon Society by Katie O'Neill because there's steam and steam is smoke. So we're gonna keep that there for now, I think, because I think that works. And again, all of these very loosely translated. Last but certainly not least, we are participating in TBR-a-thon, which is a year-long challenge as well. We are doing the map of stories, so I'm thinking I'm gonna go with Destination 2, which is Maple Tree Township. And for that, I have both prompts, actually, in one, which is the Tea Dragon Society. And the prompts are an LGBTQIA+ author, which I did look up. And then exactly 2 people on the cover. Exactly 2 people on the cover. There is a little tea dragon there, but exactly 2 people. So, yes, that was actually surprisingly easy and unexpectedly so. And we do not question, we just continue. So yes, that is the update for all of the year-long reading challenges. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, for taking the time out of your day to do so. I will be linking all of my socials in the description box down below. There's a laundry list. I normally go through it, but my phone is yelling at me for low storage. I'm not going to play about that this time because it might have a reason. So instead of it cutting me off, I'm just gonna cut off myself. So yeah, you can check all of those links out if you would like to. And as always, thank you guys so much for being the absolute best bookish bestie that ever was, is, or ever will be. I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Bye.